Welcome back, Life Science 7. Still chugging our way through section 9.3, talking about seed plants. We started this section talking about how seed plants are categorized into two groups: angiosperms, flowering plants, and gymnosperms, cone-bearing plants. And then we just started a discussion about some common characteristics that all seed plants have. Vascular tissue. So what are the two tissues or two parts that make up vascular tissue? I hope you're thinking xylem and phloem. And then not only that, all seed plants have roots, stems, and leaves. And we talked a little bit about roots in depth, okay? How carrots and radishes usually store their sugars or leftover stuff, starches, in the roots. So roots are basically kind of a storage area, but they also help absorb water and minerals in the soil and bring it up towards the plant. Okay, so today's lesson, or today's focus, is going to be on stems and leaves, primarily pages 316 and 317 in your books. And so stems, their main job is to connect roots to leaves. Roots are in the ground, leaves are, exposed to sunlight, and you need something to connect it to because roots bring in water and minerals, and leaves make sugar. So we actually need some way to connect these two. So stems, they connect roots to leaves, or leaves to roots. Stems also support branches and leaves. Inside the stems, remember, actually throughout the entire organism, you find a vascular system. So the vascular system, which is xylem and phloem, is found in roots, stems, and leaves. So the vascular tissue, that means primarily is found in the stems. It transports sugars and waters and minerals. Stems are also important for growth. So they can grow laterally, which means like side to side, or vertically. And we usually call those areas meristems. Now I'm going to tell you a quick little story about my white pines. Now when I lived out in Redpath, my husband, okay, first off, I love white pines. They are just so soft. Those needles are so soft. I could sleep on a white pine, just needles, white pine needles itself, because they're just so soft. And every time I go to a state park and I see a white pine, my husband jokes, but I always kind of give the white pine a hug. I'm just like, oh, you're so soft. But anyways, I really love white pine. So when I lived out in the country, my husband bought me 5 baby white pine trees, and I planted them. And the thing about white pines is that deer love them as well. Okay, so when I go to a state park, a lot of times I find my white pine trees caged. And my husband always jokes, well, it's because of you. No, it's actually for the deer, because deer love to nibble on the meristems, the apical meristems at the top. And if the deer were to consume or pretty much eat the entire apical meristem, well, now that poor tree or that poor plant isn't going to grow vertically anymore. It still might grow outwardly, okay, horizontally, laterally, but it's not going to grow vertical anymore. So yeah, that's my story about white pines. But anyways, with my white pines, I took care of them. I mean, I babied them. I gave them the slightly acidic water that they need. And then when fall and winter came, I would actually cover up the apical meristems with paper so light could still kind of like shine through, but then the deer wouldn't eat the apical meristem. Okay. All right. Now, for stems, there's 2 types of stems. You can classify them as woody or herbaceous. And woody means that it's stiff. It's like a stick. Okay, it's not green. Think like trees. Okay, wood. Herbaceous means that it is soft and green. Okay. Now, leaves come in all shapes and sizes. You guys know that. Oak tree, maple tree, aspen. They just come in all shapes and sizes. Leaves primarily main job, major site for photosynthesis. Okay, it's making food for this plant. And when you look at a leaf, it is made up of several layers. So if you just take a look at my beautiful color-coded diagram here at the bottom, the cuticle is this, I don't know, periwinkle color at the very top. So remember, cuticle is the waxy covering so we don't lose water. Okay, plants don't want to dry out. It is transparent. It's like a clear wax, so sunlight can still shine through. And then we have an upper epidermal layer that is also transparent, where light travels through. And in these palisade mesophyll cells, Okay, this kind of bright green color, that's where photosynthesis occurs. You see a lot of chloroplasts there, okay, lots of pigments, chlorophyll. They absorb sunlight, transfer that energy to make food. Now, the spongy mesophyll is another kind of layer. It's kind of speckled throughout, and you can see that it's my yellow here, and it's for the diffusion of gas. You're like, wait, what? Diffusion of gas? Remember, diffusion is movement of high concentration to low concentration of a substance. And so I need you to think about the equation for photosynthesis. Okay, what do plants take in? Plants take in sunlight. They take in water, but they take in a gas called CO2, or carbon dioxide. What do plants give us in return? They give us sugar, and they also give us a very important gas for us to live, oxygen. So this is where the diffusion of CO2 and oxygen takes place, the spongy mesophyll cells. And you can see that it's right next to these palisade mesophyll cells. It's like just beautiful anatomy. They're right next to each other. All right, I made the sugar. I need some CO2 to make some sugar, and the spongy mesophyll gives them CO2 to make the sugars, and then the palisade makes the sugar and then gives off oxygen as a waste product. Now my vascular tissue is right here, and that is my water and sugar. I put it in two colors, so like one of them would be my phloem and the other one would be my xylem. Then underneath we have the lower epidermal cell, which is transparent to light just in case a leaf should get turned over by the wind. It can still allow light to get through to it. And then we have tiny little openings here that allow for gases to enter. So CO2 will come into the leaf and oxygen will come out of the leaf. So yeah, your book on page 317 has, I think, maybe a little better diagram. It's not color-coded like mine. Just looking at the leaf anatomy, I would definitely focus on that page. In fact, I think you have to use it for your homework assignment, which is the Plant E questions. So let me just take a look here. Oh yeah, let's take a look at 3. I know it's in red here. What would be the effect of lack of sunlight on the function of a plant's phloem? So we're saying, okay, let's say you put a plant in a cupboard. Okay, and how's that going to affect the phloem? And you're like, I don't know. Well, think about what the phloem moves. Does it move water or does it move sugar? You should say it moves sugar. But if you don't have sunlight, can you make sugar? No, you can't. Okay? So what's going to happen to the phloem? It's not going to be able to do its job, right? It's not going to be able to move sugar because there's no sugar to move. Okay? So I just wanted to talk about 3 because I feel like a lot of people might struggle with that one. That's kind of a tough question right there. But yeah, Plant E questions posted on Google Classroom. Again, contact me if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time.